Dillon Quartermaine, not too shabby a role on the legendary franchise of General Hospital. How did that come your way, my friend?
That was an audition that my manager got me. My manager, Paulo, I've been with him for years. But when I first got with him, I went in, he submits me for different TV and film roles, and he got me in for an appointment for a character on General Hospital. Met with Mark Teschner, the casting director over there. The audition went well, but I didn't end up getting that role. And then another role came around, I think a year later, and I went in for that. And I guess I was more right for that one. And that casting process actually took a while. I think they were sometimes they'll audition a role and they're not totally sure when they're bringing the character back onto the canvas. But they're starting to get an idea of actors they might want to play that character. And so it took about 6 months before I heard anything back, but then they called me back in, and then it started to speed up. Once they called me back in, then it got down to the testing phase, which is where they get it down to like the top six actors that they are considering, and you test for producers. So they actually bring you in and you film a scene in the studio, and they shoot it just like you're on the show, but it's between you and like a few other guys. And then I ended up booking the role, and I had no idea what character it was for because they're very secretive about new characters. And it ended up being Dillon Quartermaine, which is a legacy character on the show. So it was a recast, which is why they're very secretive about it. But the original actor, Scott Clifton, did a great job developing my character originally, but he's now on Bold and Beautiful. So they needed to recast a new actor to bring back that character. And luckily I ended up booking it. And yeah, it was just a huge break for me. First time getting to work as an actor full time consistently, 4-year contract on a show that's just iconic, and to be a Quartermaine character was also just like so cool. I wasn't very well versed in the soap world. I didn't grow up watching soaps, but my grandmother did. So it was just kind of nostalgic for me to book something on General Hospital. I know I made her proud. Unfortunately, she passed away before she got to see me on the show, but still
she was
pretty
with
cool.
You in spirit. With you in spirit. Absolutely. Right. They say if you can survive the soaps with the amount of dialogue and just everything that you got to absorb, then you're ready for anything, right? It's pretty intense work on the soaps, on the daytime dramas.
Yeah, man. I always tell people it's like actor boot camp, because you got to really, you either sink or swim. You either learn how to handle that amount of material and that pacing, or you don't. And, luckily, I guess I swam because I had to adapt, and I had to just learn how to work at that pace. It's a lot of pages every day. Some weeks are slower than others depending on your character's storyline. Your storyline isn't always at the forefront of the show. Right. So there's weeks where you've got less material, and there's weeks where you're working all day every day. So it ebbs and flows, but yeah, on the weeks that you're working a lot, it can be a lot, but I mean, you get used to the pacing, and your brain learns how to memorize quicker. And I got so many valuable skills out of that job, just being able to adapt and think on my feet quickly and learn material fast, and then having to sometimes totally throw that material out because they wrote a whole new scene. You got to flow with the punches, and it definitely teaches you to do that.